All right, I had another. This is based on this. I do an excellent job of building up enthusiasm, and then
Well, we have to clarify something.
okay.
If that is true,
Well, okay.
wait,
All right.
and we're not saying that it isn't. If that is true, then what you actually are doing a really good job of is managing your grid, because the enthusiasm, you're not building it up, you're letting it in.
Okay.
You don't build up enthusiasm, you just stop squelching it.
But then I squelch it on purpose. I have a cycle where
Well, don't verbalize it. Everybody does that to a certain extent.
okay, I start to
So let's start again. You know how we kept starting over? So this is Groundhog Day. So start over. Start over again. I do a really good job.
I do a really good job
Yeah, of what?
of allowing my enthusiasm to come in.
Yeah, and I'd like to clarify that now by saying I do a really good job of holding myself in a vibrational pattern where the good ideas can come and the enthusiasm builds.
Right.
Now, continue the statement in a more productive way.
I'm looking forward to to continue that instead of the freedom builds anxiety.
So far, so good. I'm going to do more of it. Okay. I understand something from the conversation that we've just had that I didn't understand when I formulated that question. So that question no longer applies because I now know that it's all about grid work. So I do a really good job of managing my grid in order to allow my enthusiasm to build. But it always reaches a petering out point because that's natural. You can't just keep revving and revving and revving and revving and revving and revving. You want to rev and rest and rev and rest and rev and rest and rev and rest. You want to explore contrast and then align with it, and then stand in a new place and explore new contrast and align with it.
The enthusiasm becomes overwhelming, and then I get anxious.
It doesn't become overwhelming until you start introducing resistance to it. So when the enthusiasm starts to overwhelm you, it's because you've introduced resistance to it that you have the ability to make general.
And if I stay general, can the specifics come in?
Yeah, and they will.
So I can say general and specifics of...
Not only can they, that's the way it works. That's what we meant when we said, you're not the one revving up the enthusiasm. You are in a general enough place that you've created a culture that allows it to come, you see. Really good question that you just asked. Can you ask it again?
If I stay general, because that feels better...
When I stay general...
Can the specifics of, like, in my vortex come in?
And what does your logic tell you, knowing what you just...
No. My logic says no, because I think if I want specifics, then I need to be specific.
All right, so let's start at a place so that you understand the law of this. When you think a thought, that thought is vibrating. And when you hold that thought for as little as 17 seconds, another thought like it joins it, and it becomes more. If you don't do anything to contradict that thought, in another 17 seconds, another thought like that joins it. Mm-hmm. These are the specifics filling in, you see. The more thoughts that join it, the more specific it becomes. So if you don't do that thing that you've been doing that stops that from happening, the specifics will fill in. In fact, this is a clarification of the grid that we've been wanting to offer for a while and have been offering for a while, that through life, through the contrast, you're putting things into the vortex, and the vortex is expanding and growing, and your inner being is there, and in this vortex is that larger part of you. Now, as you're consciously, deliberately thinking general enough thoughts that you're releasing resistance, it's like the cork. You hold it under the water. When you let go, it floats to the top. And the holding it under the water is the resistance. So when you let go of those thoughts and your vibration raises, now the grid fills in. And that is exactly where those specifics come from. Okay. So what you're doing, you're getting ready to allow the specifics to come.
So when I start to see the specifics, that's when they'll come. I can't be like...
No. When you start to see them, they have come. We were offering these words earlier, and we're going to wrap this up because we're over time already.
Okay, all right.
We were saying a little bit that when you, by going general, allow your vibration to raise, and now the grid begins to fill in, a couple of times we said, and the specifics will be revealed to you. But then we wanted to qualify. It's not that someone else is revealing them to you. It's that you've prepared yourself for your own revelation of them. So that's why it feels like you're getting specific, because you are the interpreter of the specifics in your own mind. You've prepared a vibration that allows you to see what was in your vortex that you could not see before. And when you reach that vibrational equivalency and they flow in, can you feel how good life feels when you're doing that? In other words, you put the stuff in the vortex, but you weren't a vibrational match to it. But now you're doing the step 3 work. Now you're doing the allowing work. Now you're determined to feel good no matter what. You're determined to stay off the subjects that don't feel good. You're determined to stop beating up on yourself because that for sure doesn't feel good. You've determined to stop arguing for your limitations because that really, really doesn't feel good. You've decided to look for things to appreciate because that really does feel good. You've just played around with it, caring only about one thing, how you feel, till you've practiced yourself into alignment. And now here it comes. And people are watching you and saying, what's going on with you? And you say, I turned a corner. I stopped beating up on myself. I stopped taking score of what's going wrong. I started looking for more positive aspects. But mostly, I got out of my head and I started paying attention to how I felt, and I improved my vibrational basis. I prepared the grid for the details that are inevitable, that are certain, that must come. Good time for a segment of refreshment.
Thank you very much. Thank you.